Hey everyone, and welcome back to Joey's Retro Newscast. We have a super packed show today. Donkey Kong Bonanza came out, and I've been playing it. Have you? Because it's actually pretty fun. But we also have news about the Anbernic RG477M, the new metal handheld from Anbernic. We have a new TrimUI 4x3 device that there's a patent for. There's a new Retroid Pocket Classic color, which is pretty cool. Then there's some updates to Artemis and Apollo and Gamma and Emulation Station and all of that. The big news this week, unless you've been under a rock, is the Italian YouTube content creator like myself that does retro gaming that is apparently facing jail time for reviewing retro gaming handhelds. So we'll talk about all of that later on. But first, the news. Artemis, the streaming app, has an update that lets you use profiles now. Basically, you can save settings and create profiles in Artemis, which can help with, testing or maybe different locations. I'm not exactly sure when you would use a profile in Artemis, but it's there if you want it. Now, Apollo also got a few updates, and this one is actually pretty important. You're going to need to update Apollo before August 19th. Because the pseudo VDA signature expires after that day. So basically, Apollo users, you should go and update. After years of not doing anything, Gamma of Gamma OS fame is finally in the news weekly nowadays. That's a joke. I'm close with Gamma. I love Gamma. But he has added support for the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, the Aya Neo Pocket Micro, and the big one is the Retroid Pocket Classic, although he says it might not work for the 6-button version. Now, you can use my existing Gamma OS guide to flash these, but Gamma OS on a Retroid device is super interesting, I think. And I'm actually curious about the Pocket Micro, because I'm wondering if it fixes the whole sync thing issues that Aya Neo has with their devices, as well as can you actually use the USB-C now for data. Emulation Station 3.3.048 is now out and available for download. The biggest feature here is the Game Importer tool, and that lets you import your Android apps. Finally. Now, I've said this many times, and I'm going to say it again. I actually don't understand, and this is probably a coding reason, but I don't understand why Emulation Station has to be different than other launchers when it comes to how they handle Android apps. When you go into Daijisho, when you go into Beacon Launcher, when you go into any other launcher on Android, there is an Android app section, and it's all automatic. If they pull them in, when you delete an app, it's gone, all of that. But Emulation Station is doing their own thing here with an importer. And so you have to do all of that manually. You have to import it. And if you delete an app, it seems like you would have to manually delete it from their Emulation Station. So it's a bit weird on that front. I'm not exactly sure why this happens, but I guess it's a workaround for whatever reason they have to do it. Either way, update if you haven't. The popular Switch ROM site, NSW2U, has been taken down. I guess I can actually say the name now because it doesn't exist anymore. NSW2U. NSW2U. Yeah, it works. See, I can do it. Haha, YouTube found a way to do it. But there are other options out there, of course. I mean, I'm not going to tell you to Google that site because you won't find other alternative options if you did that. Again, I don't know what the issue is here. The FBI went and seized the domain. That is the big news here. They seized the domain of NSW2U. Apparently, they may have had servers in Atlanta or somewhere in the US, so that makes sense. It's not like the FBI has been doing anything else lately. Thankfully, these are the one files that the FBI can actually get. Seems like any other files they can't get. But anyways, it seems like this probably won't be the end of it. There is likely going to be other domains seized. There are other domains seized as of today from this news, but they weren't that big. It was a bunch of other websites, but the big one, of course, was NSW2U. Question of the week, and this one is going to be a personal question. You're going to help me. I'm going into surgery in 2 weeks, or next week. I forget. Something like that. It is a life-altering surgery, so I'm going to be on that table for about 6 to 8 hours. It's going to be a big one. I don't know if I'm going to pull through, and I need a device to see me through it. I'm going to be awake for it, and I need to be able to one-hand the device. It needs to have Wi-Fi. And so I need some options here. I'm curious. My gut feeling is I should use my TrimUI Brick. That is the only device I can think of that fits all of that. I posted this question on Blue Sky, and I did get somebody saying the Steam Deck. And look, I get it. The Steam Deck doesn't need to be in every conversation, and it won't work here. I need to be able to lift this device one-handed, and I just don't have those gains to do that with a Steam Deck. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? What is the best device to one-hand with Wi-Fi that I could use for maybe 6 to 8 hours? And it's not a major surgery. I'm kidding. I'm just getting a tattoo. But I'm just looking for advice. What should I use while I'm there and trying to block out the pain with gaming, I guess. Okay, so it was only 2 weeks ago now, I think, where we were talking about the RG Slide, and you all know my thoughts on that. Not a good device. But the one best feature of the Slide was the screen, and I see a lot of people buying the Slide for the screen. And my thought was, why don't you just wait? Because Anbernic's going to come out with 10 other devices with that same screen. Faster than even I would have thought, Anbernic has the RG477M coming, which we knew as a rumored device a while back, but we didn't know it was going to be this quick. So officially, this is going to have the same 4.7-inch 4x3, 120Hz, 960p display that the RG Slide has. It's going to be metal, and that's kind of all we know officially. Now, unofficially, we do know that this has the Dimensity 8300 that the RG557 has, which means this can play quite a bit of games. Although I have the 557, it's a little bit wonky. It's got a few weird issues there. But let's get this right out of the way quickly, because I saw a lot of people say this. This is not the 405M successor, no matter how much you want it to be, just because it's metal. Anybody that has or had a 405M knows that it was the size and the portable nature of it, along with being just a fantastic device overall. That was the reason why it was so good. This is going to be much bigger. It's a very different device. Now, looking at the device, and we have the D-pad, which is on top, and that is not something that I would have done with the power of the Dimensity 8300, but it is up top, I guess. It looks like we are going back to the RG406H and 406V with the sticks. Those don't look like the ones from the RG557. And this is actually a great change because the 557 sticks I really do not like. But the 406H and 406V sticks are long, sticking out sticks. So I don't know. It doesn't look like they stick out that much in this video, but if they are the same, then they do stick out quite a bit on the 406H at least. It's a metal device, and it is very slim from what it looks like, and it has digital shoulders and triggers. I like the gray color, personally, as opposed to the bronze, but I guess both are pretty cool. Now, my personal thoughts here is this is probably going to be as uncomfortable in the hands as the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, the Retroid Pocket 4, Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. When you get a flat back metal device like this with really nothing to grab onto, all puns intended, it's not exactly comfortable. And with the size of the screen, I'd have to go and hold the Slide again, which I really don't want to, but I have to go and hold that again. I'm wondering if the actual verticalness, the height of it, is going to be a little big when you're trying to hold and touch the shoulders and triggers and use the sticks, let's say, because they're on the bottom there. My thought is this is not going to be a very comfortable device, put it that way. Now, the big news here is the rumored pricing is apparently above $250 US. Again, this is rumored. This isn't official. But you could see that based off of the 557, and this is metal and all of that. So I could see where you would get that pricing from. And apparently, and I guess the Slide pricing and all of that. So I would see where you would get that from. But over 250, and that's dead on arrival. There's no, I can't put that nicely. There's no way I could put it nicely. There's no way you could sell that for over 250. So I'm very curious what the actual pricing is going to be. But yeah, and the more I think about it, the more, it's probably going to be over 250 at this point, considering that's what the rumor was and what we saw in some unofficial marketing. And that would suck. That would really suck. Now, in other news, TrimUI has a patent out for a 4x3 device. Now, I do have some questions about this one. Namely, I'm hoping that the Vita sticks in the patent are only for the patent and they're not sticking with Vita sticks again, because it wouldn't make sense, right? One of the big complaints about the Smart Pro from pretty much unanimously everybody across the board were the sticks were pretty bad. And so 2 years later, it's kind of been, I guess, about a year and a half or so, to do Vita sticks again after knowing all of that, I would be very confused at that. Put it that way. It wouldn't make sense, but it would be for the course for these Chinese companies that just seem to do things like that for some reason. The other confusing part is why you would include an FN switch still. That stopped being of any consequence after like a month of owning the Smart Pro when people had custom firmware out that changed it all. And even the brick, like it's kind of a useless thing to have the FN switch. So I don't know why you would still include that, but it's there still for some reason. Now, there's a few assumptions you could probably make about this device, like it probably has the all-winner A133P processor inside, the same as the Brick and Smart Pro. And it seems like this time they are doing an open kind of intake on the back. I doubt this has any sort of fan inside, but they're trying to get some more air into that back with the open grill and all that sort of thing, which I don't know how much is going to help. The all-winner A133P gets really hot, and maybe they could have just put a fan inside. I don't know, but that's really the only thing we can glean as of right now. We'll have to keep an eye on this one. But I'm secretly hoping for a TrimUI Smart replacement. That's what I want to see, although it seems like this might be a little bit different and probably bigger. So we talked about XU Retro last week and how they are going to be making devices in collaboration with Magic X after buying the XU brand from Magic X, which I wonder how much they spent on a brand. How much do you think the XU brand was worth after, what did they have? The XU 20 or something? I forget what it was. It was a vertical thingy. And then they had the XU Mini M. So there's only 2 devices under that brand. But how much could a brand like that be worth? I don't know. Now they are showing off their lineup, and it looks like they're going to have an XU20 V32, and it's a vertical, with a 3.2-inch 1024 by 768 screen, which is the same as the Brick. And it has the all-winner A133P processor, which again, same as the Brick. Then there's the XU30 V36 vertical with a 3.6-inch screen and another all-winner. And that I don't know of another device that has that screen, at least. And lastly, we have the XU40 H55 horizontal, which we talked about last week, and that is a 5.5-inch 920 by 1080 screen, and it has the all-winner A733 processor. These all have Wi-Fi and touchscreen, apparently, and I think I saw that they all have Android, but I could be wrong on that one. Hopefully, these handhelds are made good and made well, and they do well, because, why not? Powkiddy doesn't seem to be making handhelds anymore, really, and so we have space in this space for newer, weirder handhelds, I guess, or handhelds that Anbernic doesn't want to make anymore, like smaller ones. This could be good, hopefully. Retroid has a new color of the 6-button Classic coming, and it is a Genesis-themed one in black and gray. They are deciding whether to color the start button as blue or gray, so I guess that'll be decided at some point in the future, but it will be coming soon. We have some rumored, leaked prices for the upcoming Xbox Ally X and Xbox Ally, the base one. Apparently, the base Xbox Ally is going to be $700 and the Xbox Ally X is going to be $1,050 or so. Now, this was a very interesting news story to me because I saw both sides of the camp on this one. There is the console users, like the Xbox fandom, that really doesn't have any experience with the PC handheld world. And they're all like, this is very expensive and all that sort of thing. And then you have the PC users that know what like an HX370 PC costs, which is kind of what the Z2 Extreme is for here. And you're just shaking your head like, that sounds about right. Like when you go and look at the MSI Claw 8 Intel version that is in Best Buy right now for $1,000, and you can get the Z2 Extreme for $50 more, you're like, yeah, that sounds about right. But then it's funny seeing the console side of things where they're like, holy, that's a lot of money. So both sides aren't wrong, I don't think. It is an expensive device if you are used to console prices, of course. But if you're used to PC handhelds, you're just like, yeah, it's another Tuesday. My thought is the upcoming Legion Go 2 is going to be more expensive than that. The MSI Claw Z2 Extreme will likely be more expensive than that. And so this is where technology is kind of headed, I guess, PC handhelds at least, with the tariff situation, all that sort of thing. Like, this isn't going to get cheaper if people are buying them. The one good thing here, I say good, but the one good thing for the Xbox Ally and Xbox Ally X is that there is an entire market that they are targeting here that, because it is Xbox branded and because they can throw that into Best Buy's, Walmart's, Amazon, everything, because it is Xbox branded and the reach that the Xbox brand has, that gives them a leg up on other competition for selling these things. Like, you can't undersell how much putting an Xbox brand on something helps for selling that. Doesn't matter if it's the worst version of that device or whatever it is. It's going to help a lot for selling these, and it becomes more mainstream in a way that other devices just couldn't because they don't have that brand recognition when it comes to just the console market, like when we're talking about Sony and Xbox and Nintendo, that sort of thing. So that's kind of where my mind goes at. When I saw the pricing, I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, that sounds normal, I guess, but maybe that says more about how entrenched I am in the PC handheld space as opposed to how expensive these devices are. Steam has updated their publishing guidelines, and there is now a new rule that essentially payment processors can just straight up not allow you to buy a game. Basically, if Visa or MasterCard don't like a game, then they can ban it from you purchasing it, essentially. You lose the choice of being allowed to purchase the game because they can straight up block it. Now, I know what you're thinking. This would only be extreme reasons, right? Like, something really bad shows up on the Steam store and they don't want you to buy it. But visual novel enjoyers know exactly what that means because they've had to deal with this stuff for years and years and years. And I don't mean the real bad visual novel stuff. I mean stuff that is actually pretty normal, had problems like this. And to go even further, I don't want Visa or MasterCard deciding what I can and can't buy. That's not your purpose. Your purpose is just for me to facilitate a purchase. You should, number one, I don't know why they would have access to the data of exactly what I'm buying. They should just know that it is on Steam, although I guess, what is it, layer 3 or whatever, that they have access to the exact items that you buy. But again, I don't want them knowing what I purchased. I don't care the reasoning. It doesn't matter what it is that they're trying to block. Visa and MasterCard should not have access to what I am buying and should not be able to block it. So this is a big loss on Steam's front for allowing this. They probably had no choice. I don't know what the whole scenario is here, but they should get flack for this. There should be an uproar about this. And I have a feeling that won't happen until Visa or MasterCard block a game that people care about. And then we'll have an uproar of some sort about it. Okay, so for those of you that have been living under a rock for the last week, the big news that is being spread everywhere is that there is an Italian retro gaming YouTuber, content creator, that is apparently facing jail time for the act of reviewing and showing off retro handhelds like Anbernic and Retroid and Powkiddy and all that sort of thing. And he made a video with some information, although it was, for a YouTuber, surprisingly light on the in-depth details. It kind of ranted for a little bit and went off on tangents and all that sort of thing. It was kind of like a Joey video in a lot of ways. But either way, it was missing a lot of details as to, like, what exactly are you being charged with? And he put a little snippet of it, of one part of it, but it was missing a lot of details. And so my mind straight goes to, there's always two sides to every story, and I don't want to jump to conclusions and all that sort of thing. And then on the other side, I'm like, well, let's discuss it as if it was true. Let's discuss this as if he is in trouble for reviewing handhelds that have copyrighted ROMs and promoting those handhelds in the form of reviews and all of that sort of thing. So let's talk about it as if this was all correct, because we'll have to wait for more information to know the other side of the story. Now, the general gist of it is he was raided by the Italian Guardia di Finanza, and it's the Italian police, essentially. And He said there was like 30 of them or something. I don't know. I guess they had nothing else better to do. But apparently they came in, they took a whole bunch of videos, they checked all of his accounts. He says that they're apparently blocking or banning some accounts, but those are still up. And apparently they took a bunch of handhelds and all this sort of thing. So there's a bunch of stuff here. I am no expert here. I am a normal dude, right? I'm a normal person. But I can go on Amazon Italy right now. I can see a whole bunch of retro handhelds and 4 terabyte hard drives, 12 terabyte hard drives filled with copyrighted games, all that sort of thing. I can click the purchase button and I can get it delivered to anywhere in Italy. You would think if this was a big problem, if they had a problem with copyrighted ROMs and all of that, you would go straight to the source instead of the guy that bought it, right? That would be my assumption as a person. Basically, infiltrate the dealer, find the supplier. Infiltrate the dealer, find the supplier. That is exactly what you would be doing, right? Like, you wouldn't go after a content creator for this. Like, it makes no sense. If it was truly illegal and banned, then why does Amazon sell it? Why aren't you going to Amazon? You want to know the one quick way to fix all of this is to go right to Amazon from any country and be like, hey, you have copyrighted devices with ROMs or whatever on your store. We need you to take those down. And then you'll see how very quickly that Amazon, Powkiddy, and other companies remove those games from those devices and now sell them without those SD cards. That is the very quick way to do this. Anbernic would make those changes right away because as much as you might think that the worldwide market isn't big for Anbernic compared to China, it is massive. So yeah, the easiest way to fix all of this is to do that, not go after content creators. That makes no sense. Now, I get it. I truly get it. There are a lot of people out there that are like, I just want to buy a device, get all the games on it and play. But I mean, that is still illegal. Technically it is. And as much as I've been trying to advocate for these handhelds not being included with games for the last 2.5 years, it doesn't seem like that's going to be the route that they're going to take. But that is the easiest fix. That is the quickest way to legitimacy in this hobby, is to stop including them with the devices. As much as people might not like it, but that's the best way to do it. Now, I'm personally curious to see what the fallout is from all of this. If we are going to go down the same cringe road that we did the last time, where people are going to start blurring Anbernic handhelds. Maybe we can blur like the D-pad and buttons and the handheld, the whole thing, and just do a full review like that. Or are we going to start calling it the secret handheld? Because we had to do that for the Switch, as if nobody knew what you were talking about. It's all this cringe stuff. I hope none of that comes back, even though it still exists to this day, and all that sort of thing. Even renaming games to other names. It's all cringe. But I'm actually curious to see if there is fallout. I have read that maybe some other Italian YouTubers and content creators have made some of their videos private for this, and I can see why you would want to do that, but I feel like the story is missing a lot of information that we need to see. All right, so as always, we're going to end off today with the Newscast Q&A. You can send in your questions to newscast@joeysretrohandhelds.com, or you can join the Discord. There's a channel there, Newscast Q&A. You can send it in through there. First question comes in from Superbottle. Do you like hot sauce? And if you do, what is your go-to for an everything hot sauce? I'm not a hot sauce person. I don't know. I've tried. Okay, let's back up. I have tried hot sauces. I went basically when the whole thing happened with the USA and I couldn't get Taco Bell hot sauce anymore because they didn't sell it in Canada. I was usually importing it from the US, and I had to go and look for other options for Taco Bell hot sauce to use for my tacos when we make them at home. And so I bought like 10 different hot sauces that everybody says are the best. Got them all and brought them home, tried them on each taco. Didn't like a single one. They were all bad. And I'll put a picture up on screen now of the ones that I bought so you can see it, because I don't remember all the names. But I was not a big fan of those taco or hot sauces. And I guess I'm talking about tacos specifically, but I didn't like the taste of any of them for anything. So long story short, unless it is the Taco Bell hot sauce for my tacos at home, no. I mean, I like spicy stuff, but I don't put hot sauce on things. I don't know. I've never been that person. So I guess the answer is no. But if you see the picture and you see all the ones that I bought, I'm sure you're going to yell at me because there's probably one or two in there that you're like, those are really good. But to me, they weren't. And last question of the day. This comes in from Keen Sunder. Hey, Joey, thanks for the great content. I am somebody who is new to the retro gaming community. Welcome. And I'm excited by the possibilities because there is so much to learn and do. What would you suggest or recommend to newcomers who want to get involved in the handheld community? What can we do to help to give back to the community? Of course, I can play games and try new handhelds, but I want to contribute in a more meaningful way. So as a content creator, do you have any suggestions? This is actually a really good question. I created a YouTube channel, if that helps you, after joining the community after a month or two. It was very quick that I became a content creator, a YouTube channel. I don't know. That's a very good question. I don't know how you could give back. I mean, there is a lot of Excel sheets out there where you can put in if a game works and what settings you used and all that sort of thing. That's helpful. Testing out certain games for the community, all of that. Any written findings, if you want to create a website and throw it up on there of like how to install certain things, how to do certain things, all that sort of thing. You can become my competition for all I care. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, all of that stuff. The community is large, right? There's big parts of this community. There's a lot of things you could do and help. And I mean, it all depends on what you want to do. Really, it's where your passion is. Do you have a passion in testing games? Do you have a passion in helping people like I do through setup guides and all that stuff, or whatever it is? So this is kind of going to be up to you, but you have many different avenues nowadays to do all of that stuff. You have Instagram, YouTube, Blue Sky, whatever it is. You can put your content out there and people will watch it if it's good and if it helps people. So that's kind of my answer. It's probably not a great answer, but I don't have a specific thing that you could do. I just see where it's missing maybe and try and focus on that if you want. That is everything this week. It is a long one. Make sure to like and sub to help the newscast grow. You can come support me on Patreon if you like my stuff. Come join the Discord to play our game of the month and all that fun stuff if you like. Otherwise, appreciate you all for watching. And that's all for me, Abbotsford,